The year is 1934. Turmoil brews in Europe and Asia. Depression ravages America. The world stands on the brink of the most devastating war mankind has ever known. Upon this forbidding backdrop, a small ragtag band of unlikely heroes traverse the globe as they search for fortune, fame, glory, or at times even a way to save the world. The Empire Club.
All right, JB, so when we last left off, you had run the Isle of Death. And in the Isle of Death, the crew of the Bellerophon crashed on this uncharted island, and we saw grisly evidence, and Kara had gruesome visions of these horrific sacrificial rites being conducted on the island, and then suddenly, out of the brush, leaping for Sir Heathcliff with its spear raised, leapt a dark silhouette, and that's where we left off. Now, theoretically, Tom would have run this episode, but as you and I are looking over the summaries, you realized that actually, this is episode 5, you realized that actually episode 6 he ran, and we both agreed on that. Oh yeah, we were like, yeah, he definitely ran episode 6. So what happened here?
It was definitely one of his titles, yeah. I think he may have been sick this week. I'm thinking he may have been sick this week and just decided to, ask me to run it 2 in a row.
I think you're right. It's funny because like this happened 25, 30 years ago, but I do think now that you say that, like some way in some recess of my mind is like, yeah, I think he was sick, because we hadn't yet reached the point in the campaign where anybody felt comfortable saying, hey, can I also take the next one? That does eventually happen. But it hadn't happened yet.
I that space.
Yeah, we were still sticking to the convention of alternating. So it had to be, and I think I do vaguely recall that maybe he wasn't available or he wasn't feeling well, and you were just like, yeah, I'll just extend the Island of Death scenario. So we pick up there. Escape from the Isle of Death. The lone assailant posed no match for the Empire Club. Once subdued, the man revealed himself to be Dr. Browner, the medical officer of the deserted Nazi ship. The doctor recounted with horror of his stay on the island, begging the party to return him to the mainland. With Sammy, Max, and the prince still lost in the island, the group followed Sir Heathcliff's lead toward the center of the island, where an eerie drumming was heard. Now, in typical pulp fashion, the spear wielding silhouette who's posing the cliffhanging threat is just easily dispatched. Yeah. So the lone assailant posed no match for the Empire Club. I just wrote that one sentence just to demonstrate that, like, when we actually went to combat, we just like, I think we just took him out, or whatever. We just knocked him down or disarmed him or something. Do you remember exactly how we handled him?
Well, it was also, remember, it's supposed to be a cliffhanger, so it's not like the cliffhanger is supposed to really give you much trouble. It's just supposed to segue into the next episode. I mean, it's supposed to seem like it's dangerous, but for the most part, cliffhangers ended up being not dangerous, or they were able to kind of circumvent the danger in most movie serials.
Yes.
So I think we just decided, I knew what was going on, and I decided, that we were going to introduce this character from the Nazi frigate, I guess it was, the medical officer.
Yeah, so then, when we did the last episode, I said that you as the GM running Isle of Death, which, by the way, it didn't occur to me, that wasn't there a Dungeons and Dragons module, the Isle of Dread. So I wonder if the Isle of Death, if that was what, yeah, somewhere in the back, maybe not consciously, but anyway.
Well, it was also, I mean, it was the Indiana Jones Temple of Doom, and that type of thing. That's kind of where I was maybe going with it.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. But when we did the last episode, I said, then you, I said what I'm about to read as I was getting ready to read the cliffhanger line. I said what I'm about to read. This was your cliffhanger, and then interestingly, I think Tom went in a different direction with it. But it turns out that you ran the next one. So
I ran the next.
You ran the next. So then I guess it was actually you were like purposefully kind of subverting our expectations. Here comes the spear wielding thing, and it's really kind of like the character from Apocalypse Now going native. Like it wasn't actually a native. It was.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to admit something here. I think there may have been some element back then that I was just like playing it on the cuff. That I may have been like, or maybe I changed my mind. That I was like, I don't want to do that with it. Maybe I want to make it something else. I don't know that I actually, the previous game, in this case, had designs on kind of breaking everyone's expectations.
Right.
I think I may have actually been kind of playing it a little fast and loose. The week between, I may have just decided I wanted to do something differently with it. Because I didn't have to worry about, I think, at the last minute, I didn't have to worry about where Tom was going to take it. I could take it anywhere I wanted to, because I was now controlling the game back, twice. So I think I may have just decided, I think I'm gonna take it that way.
Yeah.
And then came across with the Nazi officer.
Yeah, I mean, you may have had this whole Nazi ship, deserted Nazi ship idea in your head, or a Nazi ship in your head for an upcoming, for your next session, and then you were like, well, why not work it in now, rather than the silhouette, since I left it, being kind of vague, sort of a mystery who it was. Why not just use that as the segue into the Nazi story? So yeah, it worked. I mean, it worked well, and then, of course, so Dr. Browner is the medical officer on this deserted Nazi ship. Now, I love that. And then, of course, the doctor recounts what happened on the island. So he's sort of our info dump, because you didn't have Tom to develop what happened on the island, so it was left up to you, and you just wanted to get to the sort of the Nazi story a little more quickly. So rather than continue the mystery of what's going on the island, you had Dr. Browner sort of give us an info dump so that we could move on to the next part of your story. But what I like,
Dr. Exposition. Yeah.
What's that?
Dr. Exposition.
You're cutting out. Say that one more time.
Dr. Exposition.
Dr. Exposition. Yes. So now we've sort of taken on another NPC, but I because we have the prince with us, and then of course we have Sammy who flies the plane, and you're the GM, again. So Max is your character is an NPC in this session. So it's like Sammy, Max, the prince, they're all just lost on the island. Like that was just an easy sort of hand wave. We don't have to worry about all these extra NPCs. Very, very clever. So my character, Sir Heathcliff, he's kind of leading everybody. He's the tracker, the Great White Hunter character. He's leading everybody towards these drums, and that's where we pick up. So, zombified remains of the slave ship sailors emerged from the brush, attacking the party. The heroes defeated the creatures and pushed on through the trees from whence their attackers came to find a large, gnarled tree, the arboreal throne of a horrendous arachnoid creature. Lying about the tree were 3 man-sized cocoons. As Kara destroyed the spider with a single well-placed shot from Sir Heathcliff's Frederick's bull rifle, the rest of the party broke the cocoons open to free Max, Sammy, and the prince from their mucus prisons. So that was really kind of the crux of the session, was, I guess, fighting the zombie army, the zombie horde. That probably, using the champion system, that probably took an hour and a half. Right. Yeah. And then you had the big bad, which was the giant spider, and then Kara. I mean, we must not have been in a particular under any particular pressure in that combat, because like the spider must have been way up in the tree or something, because if Kara has the time to sort of like turn to Heathcliff and say, may I have your rifle, my dear? Well, of course, my dear. Here you go. Yeah.
Wasn't, though, I think it might have been a psychic combat, because Kara Al-Mood was psychically She had psychic power. I'm wondering if it was just a psychic combat between the two, because that was actually supposed to be what I gotten it from was a Cthulhu creature, which is Nadalachta. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but there's a god, a spider god that was from the African continent that I think H.P. Lovecraft had written, and that's where I was kind of taking it from. It was supposed to be like a spawn of that, almost like a spawn of Shelob, or as Shelob is a spawn of a greater god in Tolkien. But it was like a spawn of a god, spider god.
I didn't know that.
That's what I had in the background, but we never developed it because you guys killed it.
Well, I mean, I wrote here in the summary, Kara destroyed the spider with a single well-placed shot from Sir Heathcliff's Frederick's bull rifle.
All right.
But what you might be thinking of, once again, deep in the recesses of your subconscious, you may have a Dungeons & Dragons module in mind, because the Queen of the Demon Web Pit had Lolth, and I'm pretty sure when, as a kid, 14, 15 years old, when my group fought Lolth, I'm pretty sure the psionic character basically fought her and did the heavy lifting in that combat. I don't know if that was built into the module.
I did play that.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think I played that module too.
You played that module too.
Yeah.
And
I think we played that module too in college.
And I don't know if the psychic aspect of the combat was built into the encounter, or if that was just something our group did because we had a psionic character in the party. But anyway, I wrote that 25 years ago, 30 years ago when I wrote this, I wrote that Kara used the bull rifle, so that must have been what happened.
Yep.
So there you go. But what I find interesting is that this was, what was it, 1994, 1995 when we did this, and this was just like either before or the very beginning of Zombies in the Zeitgeist. What a great title for a pulp session. Zombies in the Zeitgeist.
Sounds like a book. Yeah. Zombies from the Zeitgeist.
But shortly after we played this, zombies just were like started to boom in popularity. You started to see them in fiction, and I even remember just as soon as I got back from New York City, back to Philadelphia, shortly thereafter, someone had written a book. With our friend Jane. Jane was more like the Manhattan crowd. She was more in the Manhattan crowd, but she was a very, very good friend.
I remember.
She was British. She had a British accent. Lovely, lovely girl. And sadly, she tragically died in Swiss Air Flight 111 with her entire family. Like, they all went down over the border of Canada or something in a terrible plane tragedy. And one of the things I remember most fondly about Jane is that she loved Jane Eyre and Pride and Prejudice and all those Jane Austen novels. It's funny that like her name was Jane and she loved Jane Austen, but like once I got back to Philly, even like highbrow literature like that was being infested with zombies. Like some guy wrote a book called Zombie Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. I think
Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. Yeah.
And then
the movie is actually kind of funny.
And they made a movie. And then they started doing that with like Abraham Lincoln, the vampire fighter. Like they were mixing historical fiction, and I so wanted to like I don't know, write like Romeo and Juliet and giant robots or something. Like I wanted to get in on.
I had an idea for I think it's Emily Bronte did Jane Eyre, and I wanted to spell it Eerie, Jane Eerie, and make her like a serial killer.
Jane Eyre, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we were doing zombies before they were really super popular. So you had the zombie army. I mean, look, zombies are more a trope of I think sordid sorcery, like Dungeons and Dragons, sordid sorcery. You have the undead and they're nice low level undead. But in pulp, not so much. But we talked last time about how cannibals were very popular in like the 70s.
Yeah.
And then like in the 90s and the early aughts, it was zombies. Like zombies were everywhere.
Well, yeah, but zombies came in pretty effectively from. I mean, they changed a little bit the kind of hungry type of zombies. The man-eating zombies were Night of the Living Dead. I mean, there were before that, I think, too, but Night of the Living Dead was like a big deal. And then a lot of stuff came out of that. A lot of Italian. We mentioned an Italian zombie film that you said you don't want people looking for because it's too disturbing.
Italian cannibal film.
Italian cannibal. I'm sorry. I apologize. You're right.
No, but you're right. Yeah, it was Night of the Living Dead that I think kicked off the zombie craze. I think you're right about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Bruce Campbell, right? Wasn't he? Wasn't that Bruce Campbell?
Yeah.
Night of the Living Dead?
No. You're thinking of Evil Dead.
Evil Dead. I'm thinking of Evil Dead.
Night of the Living Dead was black and white, and it was, oh my God, why am I blanking on his name? Oh, this is so horrible. I can't believe I'm blanking on his name. Well, you're going to look it up and flash it on the screen.
And who am I looking up? The star of it, the producer of it, the director of it?
No, the director of the film of Night of the Living Dead did all the other ones, too. It was...
Gotcha.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. We'll put it in post-production, but yeah.
Yeah.
There's your superpower. All right. So getting back to the story. And so where are we here? There we are. So the group managed to contact a Coast Guard cutter, which aided them in getting the Bellerophon airborne again. On board the cutter, Benedict accepted a telegram delivered by one of the Coast Guard officers from his old poker pal, George Gershwin. See, he had to be here for this, because you wouldn't have thought to put George Gershwin in there, because George Gershwin was key to the next adventure. So maybe he wasn't...
Maybe he gave me notes or something, or I don't know why. I know I had to have ran this one, though.
Maybe he just asked you to. Maybe he wasn't prepared to run or something, but something had to happen where you ran two in a row. Anyway... from his old poker pal George Gershwin, inviting him to Vienna. You see, so he even had the setting all set. The Bellerophon.
But she did really well too.
Yeah. The next episode is very good. So the Bellerophon set its course due east. It's a dazzling morning with a blue sky dawning, when all our sadness dies, and the joy of